Welcome to the Grizzled Warmaster, guys, and the podcast to glory. I'm Mike, and today's podcast is going to be a short one. As you know, it's already pre-recorded. Doug is actually out at a tournament in Southern California, so he's getting his Age of Sigmar game on while we're here to talk about it. So we'll get a full report from him next week, and we'll be back once again live next Friday. But for tonight, we're going to have like a short one here. I'm just going to go over some of the news that's come out, and there's been a lot of news this week. A lot of stuff about Age of Sigmar, especially with the Oryx War Clan book coming out and the Stormcast Eternals book coming out as well. So we got tons of news about that. We also have, we have 40K news. They give us kind of like a preview of what codexes are coming out. So actually, we can talk about that. Who's getting a new codex? Excuse me. So in 2021, for the rest of the year, as we all know, Grey Knights and Thousand Suns are out this month. Next month, we're going to see Orcs, which pretty much everybody knew Orcs were coming up next. Then we have Black Templars in November, which I know a lot of people are excited about the Black Templars. Then in December, we're getting two books, and they're secrets. One was going to be a Xenos book, and one was going to be an Imperial book. So we're not sure what they're going to be yet, but it's exciting to see updates. It's exciting to see a Xenos book getting updated. Besides, Orcs. Orcs are always. I mean, we know that's going to be around, but what's it going to be? It's going to be Tyranid. I mean, they could use an update. Dark Eldar, something like that. Whatever it is, it's going to be a welcome update. Definitely, we're going to need a new Xenos book. And Imperial, who knows? Probably, I don't know. It could be anyone from another Marine book to, we'll see. But they've already said next year, as you notice a complete lack of Chaos codexes out here. They're saying next year will be chock full of Chaos codexes, so we can expect all four Chaos Gods getting some love next year with codexes, which, as a Death Guard player myself, I'm like, I really like where Death Guard are right now. It's one of those a weird cycle where you're like, okay, so it's Death Guard's kind of at the top of the heap right now. What's that going to mean in the future when they're, usually if they're at the top of the heap, next time they get an update, it's, they get nerfed a bit. So a little scary for that. But, for the next year or so, Death Guard rock. Okay, so let's jump into some of the updates we got from Age of Sigmar. So we got, first article this week was Magic and Mayhem, the Dragon Prince rules, making them ruinous tag team in battle. So there are, let's see, it's a little bigger here. Oh, well, there we go. All right, so we got some of the rules for, we knew the Dragon Princes were going to be awesome, but here they confirmed a breath attack, right? And we knew they were going to get one. Blazing Tempest, 18-inch range, all right? One, but here's how it works. Don't use the attack sequence. For an attack made with Blazing Tempest, instead roll a die. On a 1 to 2, the target suffers 1 mortal wound. On a 3 or 4, target suffers D3 mortal wounds. And on a 5 or 6, target suffers D6 mortal wounds. So, Blazing Tempest, there we go. It's going to do mortal wounds. We don't have to roll to hit, don't have to roll a wound. It's just how many mortal wounds do you take from this? Which is, appropriate for these dragons. And then Krondus has got Son of Draconith. So this is basically Atavistic Tempest. It's a spell that has a casting value of 9, so it's a little harder to cast. A range of 24 inches. If successfully cast, pick one enemy unit within range and is visible to the caster. Then pick one of the effects below. That effect lasts until your next hero phase. So you can do Blinding Gales, which is subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by that unit. A Meteor Hail, worsen the rend characteristic of weapons used by that unit by 1. Lightning Vortex, subtract 1 from the attacks characteristic of missile weapons used by that. And flash freezing blizzards subtract 1 from the save rolls for attacks that target that unit. So, yeah, I mean, summon a storm and it affects them in some ways. I mean, these are all very useful. Lightning vortexes, like our last week's show about shooting. We know how important shooting is in 3rd edition, so that could really cause some problems. So, I mean, these dragons are powerful. And then here is Karzai, the scarred one. He's got Fires of Vengeance. So, in this, this is potentially a really awesome power. I think we saw this preview a little bit. Each time the unit is destroyed, an enemy unit, you can apply the relevant effect below. If it's a hero or a monster that you kill, you add 1 to the attack characteristic of melee weapons used by this unit for the rest of the battle. And these are cumulative, so you can gather these up. If an enemy had a wound characteristic of 3 or more, but was not a hero or monster, you add 1 to the run and charge rolls for this unit for the rest of the battle. And if the enemy had a wound characteristic of 2 or less, you can heal 1 wound. So, yeah, it's so the dragons they're powerful. They got breath weapon. Then they got some staying power. All right, and both of the dragons have calamitous tail. Right, so this is another attack. 3-inch range, 3s and 3s, -2 rend, 2 damage. And the attack characteristic of Calamitous Tail is equal to the number of enemy models within 3 inches of the attacking model. So you just land this thing down in between several units here. Everything within 3 inches gets swapped, gets a tail swipe. So, -2 rend, 2 damage. No joke. So, yeah, I mean, pretty awesome. And not just that, as we found out last week, we can build an all-dragon army, right? But that's not the only thing we can do. Is give us a little update here on some of the Stormcast forces, because the new Stormcast book. This new Stormcast books truly does aim. I mean, we joke about them being Sigmarines, Space Marines for fantasy, but they're pretty much going in that way, in so much as they're going to be the most versatile army in Age of Sigmar. I mean, you could pretty much do whatever you want to do with them, however you want to build them. And these are some of the examples we got here. So, if you want an all-dragon Lith army, right? We talked about that before. So, you take the mounted hero that makes these dragon riders battle line, and then plus you got the 2 brother dragons. I mean, it's going to be a small count, expensive army. But that's amazing. The dragon models are just awesome, right? You find here Knights Excelsior Storm of Annihilation. Once per turn, at the start of the combat phase, you can pick 1 friendly Knights Excelsior Paladin unit on the battlefield. Until the end of that phase, when you pick that unit to fight, pick 1 enemy unit within 1 inch of that unit. If the number of models in that unit is greater than a number of models in a Paladin unit, add 1 to hit and wound rolls for attacks made by that Paladin until the enemy unit, until the target the enemy unit until the end of the combat phase. So, yeah. So if you want to, being able to take Paladins as battle line, you build that army, and you're like, okay, well, Paladins are small. I mean, they're powerful, but they're small units. Well, this ability, right? They get a boost for being a smaller size unit. So you can have a smaller unit elite armies running around here. Yeah, and then they got Monster Hunter armies, right? Like they got the Beast Stalkers, right? So, Astral Templars. So if you want to play Astral Templars, they're basically Monster Hunters. And they get the Beast Stalker ability. So friendly Astral Templar units cannot be picked when your opponent carries out the Monstrous Rampage. And we're already seeing the Hunters battalion out of the General's Handbook. Let you pick 3 units that you basically give them the same ability, makes them immune to monstrous rampages. Kind of going in to negate that monstrous rampage, which can be pretty devastating, especially if you've got several monsters. Or you play Sons of Bahamut, and your entire army is monstrous. So, yeah. Playing, Astral Templars, Beast Stalkers. And then you got Vanguard, Paladors and Vanguard Hunters available as battle line units in the Astral Templars, right? So you got range units, to weaken them up, and then you've got, making them immune to Monsters Rampage, and then you take stuff like, Yndrasta, who basically makes monsters as effective as if they've taken 10 wounds, So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a monster counter, although, again, you kind of have to build towards that. If someone, obviously that's going to be the new trend, is people carrying more monsters in their army. This way you have, a way to counter that. And then, of course, promoting the new starter set for that. Also this week, we've got a reason to buy the White Dwarf again. Sons of Bahamut receive a Gargantuan Battle Tome update in this month's White Dwarf. All right, so Saturday, when the White Dwarf comes out, we're going to have Sons of Bahamut. This is going to be the first existing Battle Tome to be updated for 3rd edition. And we'll see what they get, So it's going to be all new battle tactics and grand strategies, specifically for the Mega Gargants, right? And, all the strategies are already set up because of the battle plan that they have right now. If you take over, do these with a monster, or you slay a monster, you get those extra points. And now they're going to have specific ones for Mega Gargants and grand strategies specifically for them. Although, if you're playing Sons of Bahamut, pretty much the grand strategy of hold the line, you just got to have a battle line unit left at the end of the battle. I mean, that's pretty easy, seeing how everything Sons of Bahamut are battle line, which means if you're taking 3 Mega Gargants in your list, they got to whittle through all of those in order to not deny you that. You're also going to find 2 faction-specific core battalions. They give you new ways to build your armies. So if you ever wanted an example to give you, if you ever mount a surprise charge with a unit of Man Crushers, check out the Foot Slugga's core battalion, which makes your Gargants super swift. Or what about giving your Mega Gargant artifacts? You can now do so with that Boss of the Stomp. We give them more artifacts, which, they got some great artifacts on there. So, yeah, I mean, again, I like and I don't like it. I'll give you my opinion on this here. I like the fact that we're getting new core battalions in the books, but I mean, this is kind of like this signals the way things are going. The whole purpose of getting rid of all those core battalions before is to simplify things, right? So we have a short list of core battalions that everybody can take from, right? But now if we're going to start reintroducing core battalions back into the into the books that are coming out. I mean, again, this is just a White Dwarf update, but it might. I mean, this usually signals the way things are going to happen later on. So this signal what's going to happen with the battle tomes when they come out. And if that's the case, we're going right back to where we were, where we're going to be getting more and more of these battalions. Which, I mean, it's already said they already gave us new battalions this year in some of the books from the last, which were really pretty awesome. City of Sigmar ones for me, Nurgle ones, and of course, now they're useless. So we'll see. Hate to see those go away and then start all over again with getting new ones with the new books. And the books that got new Path to Glory options for Sons of Bahamut here in this. So all in all, very good reason. If you're into Sons of Bahamut, a good reason to pick up the White Dwarf this week. All right, so let's talk about some of the Cruel Boy stuff. So we got this one. Gobsprak uses swampy magic, bad smells, and screaming plant to dominate the battlefield. All right, so let's talk about Gobsprak. He is that awesome new model coming out for the Cruel Boys. Look at kind of a must-have, right? And we saw that the little hobgrot that he has with him, or the little grot that he has with him, has one of those screaming mandrake plants, from Harry Potter and the like. It's not mandrake, but it's mandrak. So once per battle, this unit attempts to unbind a spell, you can say it is using his screaming mandrak. If you do so, the unbinding roll for the attempt is made with 3d6 instead of 2d6, right? And you combine that with the Mork Says No, where they take mortal wounds. Man, he's just like denying spells all over the place. For an orc to be that kind of magically dominant is, it's unheard of, one. Two, I think it's just awesome. All these cool little things about this. And of course, this spell, Summon Body Miss, which we've seen on the Swamp Caller Shamans. Summon Body Miss spell has a casting value of 7. Is successfully cast until your next hero phase. Add 1 to the charge rolls of friendly Auroch units in the battlefield, and subtract 1 from charge rolls from other units on the battlefield. So, a little bit of board control, along with anti-magic, and you're talking about a very, very effective here. So, they also use Cruel Boy's specific spell lores, the Lore of the Swamps, right? And he can cast 2 spells per turn. So he can do his direct damage and his control spells. And one of the spells they show up here is Sneaky Miasma. And it is a spell that has a casting value of 6 and a range of 18. And if it's cast, you pick one friendly Cruel Boy's monster within range and visible of the caster. That monster can now make a normal move. So, man, just like that, in the hero phase, you're making a monster move. And some of these monsters already have some pretty big movement. So, like that, prod that monster out there. Then they get to make the normal move. And then they get the charge. So, if you want a round 1 monster in your face, this is one of the ways to do it. And then we got the Black Pit. Alright, the Black Pit is a spell that has a casting value of 7, range of 12. If successfully cast, pick one enemy unit within range and visible to the caster. Roll a die for each model in that unit, for each 6, and for each other roll that is equal to or greater than the unit's save characteristic, that unit suffers a mortal wound. So, think about this, right? You hit a big unit, and then you've got to basically, you roll a die for each member of the unit, and then everything that's above their save, they take a mortal wound. Yeah. Pretty cool. I mean, cast value 7, range of 12. You got to be up close, but then again, remember, this guy's on a flying giant bird that could possibly get a free move, right? So, yeah, he's going to be, I can't imagine him not being a must-have for a Cruel Boys army. I mean, I'm chomping at the bit to get my hands on him there, adding my Cruel Boys. So, I mean, can't wait. I mean, again, we got to wait for the end of the month here when we get our hands on the Cruel Boys Battle Tome, right? New War Scrolls, Battle Plans, spells, right? And maybe we'll see if they have some battalions in there like the Giants are getting. All right, so then we have... Oh, so as I mentioned, Mike gone through Dragons. Oh, here we go. Mobum, Scurum, and Zapum. 3 ways to wah in the new Auroch Battle War Clans Battle Tome. Ugh, mouthful here. All right. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those, just reading this until I get the book in my hands, go through it, I can't decide whether I want to have a mixture or an all Cruel Boys list. I mean, I like the way the Cruel Boys look better than all the other ones. But, man, there's something to be said to having some, Iron Jaws for some staying power, or even like the Bone Splitters for, some of their cool options here. But let's take a look here. Monster Hunters. Okay. Again, there seems to be a theme here. Everybody's getting monsters. Everybody's getting Monster Hunter stuff. And they're telling what to do with how to deal with monsters playing these orcs, right? So basically, you can flood the battlefield with battle line savage orcs armed with choppas. This provides a respectable 10 bone splitters per unit for a total of 20 attacks, wounding on 2+ if you charge. Or even if you don't topple your foe, you might injure a monster enough to reduce its attack profile, softening them up for your most devastating units, such as, if you see in the picture here, the Big Stabbers, from the Bone Splitters, which I love that model, by the way. I'm not a big fan of the big, cartoony orcs, but these are great. I somehow like them better in the Savage version. It seems to make more sense, and just the idea of these two orcs, just big old spear coming at you. And then, of course, there's actually have a shooting option here with the Cruel Boys now, because orcs are always kind of more hand to hand, but Cruel Boys bring a lot of shooters to here, right? So as we can see here, the new Beast Skewer Killabow is awesome. Let me use ballista. Plus, we got the man. This is the bigger version of the man skewers is the Beast Skewer, and it's got an ability here, Skewered, to determine the damage characteristic for an attack made with Beast Skewer bolts. Roll a number of dice equal to the wounds characteristic of the target unit. The damage characteristic is equal to 2 plus 1 for each of the 5 plus ups to a maximum damage of 12. So max you can do is 12, but still, you get to roll all 30 if you're shooting at a Mega Gargant, right? You still get to roll all the dice. And then the damage is 2 plus every 5 plus you roll out of all those dice, up to a maximum of 12. So that's a big chunk you're taking out of something, right? Up to 12 damage out of something. Man. I don't know if you'll probably take multiple of these depending on the cost. We'll see what they run, but yeah, that is awesome. And then we've got the power of the Wog. At the start of your combat phase, we saw this before. You can say you release the power of the Wog, basically add 1 to attacks characteristic for melee weapons used by friendly orcs. So yeah, it's definitely adding a punch to it. And then you got, like I said, the Man Skewer Bolt Boys, which are no joke, right? So these guys are awesome. They got a range of 24. They're hitting on 2s if you don't move, right? And if you go with the Big Yellas War Clan, they get to add 3 inches onto that. So they got 27-inch range. And then you couple that with the new bonuses for shooting and the the whole, Unleash Hell ability, which Unleash Hell is going to make some people think, especially if you got several units of these Man Skewer Bolt Boys. You're running Big Yellas, which makes them battle line, and you got some of those big bolt throwers. Well, yeah, orcs are actually a ranged threat now, so which is not something you normally say about orcs, but there you have it. And I just love these models; they're just awesome. Okay, and then they have. You add some Bone Splitters, which have their archers there, they're not the greatest archers. They don't hit that often, but it doesn't matter. They're taking a play out of the 40k orcs here with Barrage of Arrows. Add 1 to the attack characteristics of missile weapons used by friendly Bone Riders Savage orcs, which brings them up to 3 attacks, guys. So yeah, they're hitting on 5s, but it's just like buckets of dice looking for 5s, right? It might be worth it. Looking in there, depending on what their points, take a look at their points if it's be worth it for that. And then the Spell Slingers, they got 3 distinct factions in this battle tome, right, with a whole bunch of spell options. They got 3 different spell lores to go with, and then you can have like the Bone Splitters Wizards, are the ones that give you the bonus WA points. So you can rack up those WA points quicker. And then the brand new list of spells, the Cruel Boys list, the Swamp, Lore of the Swamp, you get stuff like Choking Mist. So we've got Choking Mist is a spell that has a casting value of 7 and a range of 24 inches. And they're successfully cast, pick a point on the battlefield within range and visible to the caster, and all units within 6 inches of that point are affected by Choking Mist until the start of your next hero phase. While the unit is affected by Choking Mist, subtract 1 from the attack characteristics of melee weapons used by it to a minimum of 1, and it cannot run. I mean, come on. You're just launching a smoke cloud out there up to 24 inches away, and everything within 6 inches, not 3, 6 inches, is affected by it. -1 to attacks, and you can't run? Man, talking about bogging down your opponent here to pepper him with more arrows. And then, of course, Ironjaw's Wizards got the, Lore of the Weird. We got Basham Lads. Cast value of 8. If successfully cast, cast unit your next hero phase, you can add one wound roll. Add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made by friendly Iron Jaws units, wholly within 16 inches of the caster. Right? So, making sure that those hits stick. And then, of course, lower the Savage Beasts for the bone splitters. Power of the Werebore. The Power of the Werebore is a spell that is casting value of 6 and a range of 24 inches. It's successfully cast. Pick one friendly Bone Splitters unit wholly within range and visible to the caster until your next hero phase. Add 1 to run rolls and charge rolls for that unit, and add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by that unit. That unit can't shoot. So, yeah. Get them into combat quicker. And again, going over all this stuff, I can't decide, do I want to run just Cruel Boys or do I want to mix? And I don't know. I mean, there's advantages, disadvantages to both. And we'll be once the book comes out, we'll have a more in-depth talk about which ones are better, which one's the way to go. Same thing with the Stormcast Eternals. When that book comes out, we'll have a discussion about which way to go from there. Which ones are better? Which ones will work for what? And trying to come up with that more all around. So it looks like pretty much all these new armies can be built to take down giants or take down monsters if you want, but who knows? Maybe the way to go in third edition is not to run, not to run big monster list, right? So everybody's like if everybody gears up. I mean, we'll have to see how the tournaments go, but everybody gears up to take on monsters. We don't take any monsters, and then you're denying them points, the extra bonus points, in your tactics. But who knows? We're gonna have to play some more games to get that figured out. But in the meantime, it looks like we got 2 great battle tomes coming out here at the end of the month. And big question for me is, will I have enough time to put together a list and paint it up before the tournament in California coming up in October? So we'll see. But all right, guys, there you have it. That's your news for today. And again, we don't have a discussion to go on today because obviously Doug's not here. But we'll be back again next week when we'll be live again. So you guys can chime into the discussion if you want to join in. We go over the news, have a discussion about a specific topic concerning Age of Sigmar, and we'll go from there, guys. So we appreciate it. I see we got quite a few more subscribers recently, and we really appreciate you guys coming to check us out and see what we're about. We have 2 channels here, guys. This is our gaming channel, the Grizzled War Master, where we discuss tabletop games, including miniature gaming, and we also have Grizzled War Master, which is our Grizzled Game Master, which is going to be our D&D discussion. That's going to be coming up here soon. We're jumping back into that. You can check out our old Dungeon Master advice videos from Grizzled Game Master from earlier on the channel. And our other main channel is our Geek Culture channel, where we have our other podcast, and we talk about movie and comic news and do reactions to stuff. Over there, that's the Grizzled Geek, where you can check that out down in the link down below. But either way you do it, guys, we really appreciate you guys checking us out, having a listen. Our podcasts are up on the Monday after the weekend. They'll be up on Stitcher and iTunes and Deezer and every place you can get your podcast. You can get the podcast there, including Podcast of Glory and the Grizzled Geek podcast over on the main channel. So either one of those, really appreciate it, guys. And please like, subscribe, share with your friends. And if you want to support the channel and the things that we do here, this will be links down below to our Amazon affiliate link, to our Patreon page, and to our merch store, where you can pick up cool t-shirts like this one on the screen behind me. It says, "I am a Grizzled Geek." All right, guys. We'll see you next Friday. And again, sorry for not having a live show today, but we'll be back with a live one next week.